Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott and I am your host this evening for this last show before Christmas. I've got a feedback and I'm going to shortly be joined by the usual suspects plus a couple of other guests. As you can see, one of them's here. Ian Noble, good evening, mate. How are you? Good man, good man. Mr. Holyoke, you can't hear anything. Can you hear anything now?
I can hear you. I couldn't hear him.
No,
Can't hear me.
No, we can hear you now, Ian. But no, Jill, you should have just blagged it. I couldn't hear him either. Okay, and we could have just glossed over it. Okay, but he's there in all his finery. So thank you for joining us in. Grant Saunders, good evening.
Hello, darlings. Yes, another wonderfully professional start to our broadcast.
See, again, we could have glossed over it and you didn't need to say anything about it. It was absolutely fine. And a very warm welcome, making her debut on the Red and Blue Review, is Mrs. Saunders, the great, wonderful Jane Saunders. Welcome to the show, Jane.
Thank you.
So, Jane, we're going to kick off with you this evening. Ladies and gentlemen out in Facebook land, I can see you all there. I'm going to quickly just grab the first few I can see. Andy Bess, Neil Hawken, Daniel Garlick, Andy Stacey, John Lindley, Mickey Philpott, Mark Easter, Paul McManara, Andrew Salt, so I can see you. How you doing? Nigel Croucher. Thank you, Nigel. You know what? Tim Richards in New Zealand, Jamie Dunn, Mark Drew. Guys, I can see you all out there. We'll do some name checks shortly. Please don't forget to push the share button on your tablet or on your iPhone or whatever it is you're watching us on, okay? And share to make your own watch party so people can watch us wherever they are in the world from your wall. Don't forget, you can also find us on Grant, please mute your microphone.
I've had to go with follow you guys and just completely bleep up, you know.
Absolutely. On Twitter, YouTube at any time to either watch, listen, or download this and every other podcast that we've ever done, or just do it simply on your digital device and say, Alexa, please play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast. So that was a really polished start to the show, everybody. Thank you for that. I've absolutely chuffed to pieces with the way that's gone. Jane, I'm going to start off with you. Please bring a bit of sensibility to this car crash of a broadcast. Tell everybody in the world, apart from your simple love for the all things Palace, what do you do professionally, please? And there is obviously a reason why I'm asking you.
Yeah, so I work in the NHS. I used to be a director of operations, which basically means running two very big hospitals over in Kent. I'm currently doing an IT project, but I'm actually probably going to be on call on Christmas Day, which means I'm going to probably spend most of my day trying to sort out the beds for the ambulances to drop off. So I know Teresa gave an update last week, and I just wanted to give you a bit of a story from Kent, because obviously we've now gone into tier 4. So there is a 50% increase in the cases in Kent compared with March of last.
It's doubled.
It's doubled. So we are really struggling at the moment. We are cancelling people's operations and their outpatients, except for cancer patients and emergencies. And we've got some real shortages of staff, which actually means that those who aren't nurses and doctors have been asked to go and deliver food parcels to the wards because those nurses and doctors can't get breaks and so need to have food delivered to them. This new variant that everyone keeps talking about has really hit Kent very hard, and the 3 main symptoms that the government keeps going on about in the past, they're not necessarily the symptoms that you experience now with this new variant. So you need to make sure that you understand the whole list of symptoms and don't just think it's this time of year, it might be a flu or a cough, or I don't feel very well. It could be this new variant of COVID. And I just wanted to highlight, because we've stopped clapping for the NHS doesn't mean that the NHS has given up. Those staff have worked for 9 months solid and they are very, very tired. And so are the managers and the doctors. And I know it's really hard for everyone. It's frustrating that we can't go to football. I know that we were lucky last weekend. We did get to see the match. But you have to think to yourselves, we've all got to December, how lucky we actually are. And
Yep.
This is only 1 year. And hopefully if we can get through to the other side, we have our vaccinations. It is a bit of a pain, but eventually we'll get through this. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone does follow that hands, face and space, because if we don't, it won't just be this Christmas, it could be yet another one. So just bear that in mind. I know we're all frustrated and tired and don't want to do it anymore, but it's just a few more months, hopefully, before we start to see vaccinations really starting to take hold. So I just wanted to give you that update, because I know Teresa gave you a little bit from the Surrey end, but Kent is far, far worse at the moment.
And thank you for that. And I'm really grateful for the update. Ladies and gentlemen out in Facebook land, I can see there's loads of you out there watching. Yes, I know this is a football show and we will get onto all things Palace shortly. But I think while we're lucky enough to have people like Teresa and Jane on the show, and Karen Potter, I know you're out there watching. Okay, thank you for what you're doing. And Jane, thank you for on behalf of everybody for what you guys are doing. I've got a question for you, a bit of a left field question, if you don't mind. What do you say to all these naysayers that are telling us that it's that they don't need to wear face masks? This is a 5G conspiracy. There's no such thing as a virus. It's just people out there with a cold. From your frontline point of view, Jane, tell me what you would say to these people.
They only have to come and spend probably about an hour with some of our frontline staff who. The other day, I did a meeting Zoom call, and I just put a Christmas background up behind me. And some of them said, "Why are you so cheery, Jane? Because we are so tired. We just want to cry. But it's lovely that you've done that." And I think if people think that it's a hoax, you just need to speak to those frontline staff. So, yeah, it's really important.
Grant.
I just found out they got 2 more of my friends who are both in Oxford today. This is fucking real, it really is. Gets me.
Jill?
My son-in-law had lost a friend last week, and she had a 1-year-old baby. I don't think she suffered from any, from anything bronchial or heart or whatever related. So this has become a real shock and has sort of come very close to home. But I mean, I personally know now. I hadn't met anybody up till about a month ago who had it. I'd only sort of read it on social media, and like a lot of people, not really believe the gravity of the situation. But one of my friends, Leah, her daughter brought it home from uni with her boyfriend. He took it home. All his family got it. All of her family got it. And it's a really scary thing. They didn't have the solid cold. They didn't have the barking cough. What they had were, and this was all of them as well, strangely, was blinding headaches. None of them suffer from migraines or headaches per se, as and as a consequence of coming into contact with this virus, they all suffered really, really terrible headaches and lethargy, which had lasted for up until when I went to her house on social distance in their back garden, because I go metal detecting on the land next to where she lives. And she said, we're so tired. All of us are just so tired. She said, it's like when you come back off holiday, you've had a great time, but you feel like you need another holiday. That's what she said it feels like. Mm-hmm.
Jane, what's the situation currently? I need you to be aware of some of the messages that are coming through of support for you and the whole NHS. What's the situation currently in Kent with regards to intensive care beds?
Intensive care beds. So we were fortunate. We actually opened up some intensive care beds this sort of in March. We closed them over the summer, and we've actually been able to reopen them again. So effectively, we've got 2 ITUs open. So one for cancer patients and another one for COVID. So 10% of all of the patients in with COVID at the moment are in an ITU bed.
Okay, and the Nightingale hospitals, are they still up and running?
They're not up and running as far as I'm aware at the moment, because they just don't have the staff. Because all the schools keep opening, shutting, with all the swabbing that they're trying to do, it means that lots of nurses are up and down all the time about when they can actually come into work or not, because their children might have been impacted by somebody at school. So it's a lot more of an issue around shortages of staff than it was in March, because we're only swabbing in March those patients who had obvious symptoms.
Okay, right. Let's go through some of these out in Facebook land. John Lyons, good evening, mate. Love to you and your family, and happy Christmas to you. Saying good evening. Paul McNamara is saying they do an amazing job. Mark Drew saying, Jane, you're putting a life into perspective. Paul Grant is saying respect to all NHS staff. Karen Potter, I told you she was out there. Well said. I've worked all the way through and worked all my annual leave this year, and all we get is abuse from patients. Just incredible, absolutely incredible. Down in New Zealand, Tim's saying it's so important. We did all that down here and it worked. I see we're talking about the lockdown. Paul Glance is saying good evening from Spain. Nigel Crouch is saying a big thank you to all our NHS staff. Daniel Garlick saying my sincere gratitude. Mark Drew, the NHS is more important than talking about the football. And you know what, mate? Great words, absolutely. Michael Newbold saying positive thinking, positive thought with positive speech, action, sensible distance, and sensible cleanliness. Okay, and he's gone on to say quite a lot more, but good words again, mate. Laurie saying my grandson's friend's mother lost her life to COVID at age 31. I know this is kicking off what it should be a light-hearted show, and will be a light-hearted show, ladies and gentlemen, but we need to get this serious subject covered off, as most of us that are watching this have gone into tier 4. Yesterday, there wasn't even such thing as a tier 4. Paul Glance is saying all hospital staff in Spain and the UK are amazing. Luke Cooper saying, hope everyone's keeping safe. Just lots of love and support for you, Karen Potter, and Teresa, and everybody out there in our wonderful, wonderful NHS, Jane. So thank you. Yes, Grant.
It's my wife. I've said it before live. I mean, people know I love my football, yeah, but it really has pissed me off for months and months and months how important the football has become to the world. You know, it's a game of football. Yeah, we love to go, but the important stuff is what we spoke about the last 5 to 10 minutes. Football just...
It puts yesterday into absolute perspective, doesn't it? Who gives a toss? Who gives a toss?
What happened yesterday?
No, I can't remember. Something happened yesterday.
I'm going to catch you out.
No? Okay. So, where should we... Ian Noble, you haven't said very much. Your thoughts on... Before we draw a line under the great work the NHS have been doing, but have you got any thoughts on that subject before we move on?
Only in as much as the point I would want to make is that there is light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine. My wife has been volunteering as a steward here in Upfield at the centre where they're administering the vaccine, and I think by the end of next week, everyone that wants a vaccine in Upfield where I live, over 80, will have had a vaccine by the middle of next week before Christmas, which is amazing. And they had, you'll know about this, Jane, they have a life limitation on the vaccines. So they have to use them that day. So at about 60 at the end of today. And so they got all the care staff in the local area were on standby. So they rang them up, and within literally 10 minutes, minibus fulls of care staff were turning up so they could use these 60 vaccines at the end of the day, which is brilliant. It's heartening to hear that things like that are actually happening out there, and that hopefully by Easter next year, most of us over 50, say, will have been through having had a vaccine, and we'll be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, it's quite clear. It's quite clear that it's affecting nearly everybody that's actually watching this show. It's affected somewhere along the line everybody involved in this show. Lucy Usher, I haven't forgotten you. Phil Usher, I can see you out there. Good evening, mate. Lucy Usher, the team are sending their love to you. Not going into details, but we are sending big love. And in the background, we've also got Ian Lyons producing the show tonight. So before I forget to do so, Lyonsy, mate, thank you for producing. Thank you for stepping up in our hour of need. Otherwise, there would not have been a show tonight. So, boys, should we do a little bit of football? Or I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to actually open the show. Ladies and gentlemen out in Facebook land, and more of you are joining every minute. We don't really want to go through both the previous two games? We want to
I
look
do.
ahead. Yeah, okay. Well, we can do some of it. We'll do some of it in a minute.
That's half an
Jill
hour.
does.
Jill, we'll do some of it in a minute, but I want to put something out to Facebook land, okay, and let you lot judge what we're going to do with the show tonight. We don't really care. This is Christmas. Look, I've got my mate with me. He wants to talk to you. What do you want to talk about tonight? If you don't want to talk about the game at the London Stadium on Wednesday night, we won't talk about it. If you don't want to talk about Selhurst Park yesterday, we won't talk about it. Okay. If you want to talk about something completely, I know this is a football show, but it's the week up to Christmas. We've got an important game coming up on Boxing Day that Jane, bless her heart, has told me very kindly that it's a 3:00 kickoff on BBC One on Boxing Day. Guys, is that the first time we've been on TV? On Boxing Day, I mean, live.
Yeah, because normally we're at the game on Boxing Day, aren't we? They don't have games live on BBC on Boxing Day usually.
Yeah, good shout, good shout. So whatever you want to talk about, I'm reading the chat. I'm reading every single message that's going through the chat now. So if there is a subject that you want to talk about, okay, come on, put it into there, okay. Matt Watson saying we must talk about the Scouser game at least, is what he's saying in the chat. Okay,
No.
well.
No,
We must talk about the West Ham game, about the first half of the West Ham game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian Barcelona, please.
Okay, right. So as Lord Holyoke has spoken, I will bow to his. Okay, talk to me about the game at the London Stadium. I think we came away with a point. We got equalised by a worldie, and it really was a worldie. Okay, talk to me about the first half against West Ham, then, Jill.
Yeah, I mean, we played how I think most Palace fans envisage we can play with that team.
Yeah.
We went to, I mean, I laughed my head off because I hadn't seen it before. Even though I've been there, I hadn't seen it, but it was like the where the TV camera went down. We went to the Academy of Football. How boring is that?
Show some respect. They did win the World Cup, don't forget.
And we literally played them off their own park. Like that was it was embarrassing. If West Ham had come to our place and played us off the park like we did, we'd have got slaughtered by everybody. I ain't seen anything on social media saying, how good were Palace? I mean, Ed Benteke, just and I'm not going to cane him because I thought for 45 minutes he was at, until he got sent off, which was always odds on for me. And I didn't say I was gonna tweet, guarantee he gets sent off. But
after the first booking.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I reckon, let's just cover off the Benteke booking first. I reckon that every single booking, let's just say he's been booked as a Palace player 25 times. I think 23 of those would have been for him jumping with a defender. I'm telling you now, there's definitely an agenda. The referee definitely had it. We saw it today, nothing yesterday. It was just ridiculous. And at half time, when he walks off with the referee, and the referee's all smiles, and he goes, and he looks like he's resolved the situation with him, where he's gone, yeah, well, maybe I made a mistake. Sorry about that. All smiles with his linos, and then comes out first challenge, another yellow, gives him a red. Yeah, hang on a minute. I mean, that the West Brom fans the week before went, oh yeah, change the game. Change the game for us. 100% change the game.
Whereas the West Brom challenge was a straight red, and although it was, you could say it was a little bit harsh on the player, it was a sending off.
No, yeah,
this one, the Benteke was not a sending off because neither were yellow cards.
No, you're absolutely right.
Nobody's saying they were yellow cards.
No, and this is the thing.
Except the referee is the only one that thought they were yellow cards.
But this is the other thing. What I've been saying, I've said it for ages. I said right the way back through the Clattenburg days and everything. These referees, they're professional referees, right? But I like to think I'm a professional tiler. If I put a load of old shit on someone's bathroom wall and they go, that actually looks like a load of old shit, Joe, I'm not paying you, right? I go, let's have a second opinion. Someone else goes, that's a lot of old shit, Joe. And I go, well, don't pay him, right? But these people, they're not accountable. I've never heard of a referee being pulled up in a changing room by a match assessor that's there every single game. God, you were absolutely crap. you just go and ref some Sunday League, and you know what I mean, or just do something other than Premier League.
Joe, let me stop you a minute.
Appalling.
What you got to remember with this referee, Coote, is that he was the referee.
What did you call him?
When Van Dijk went, he was the referee that overturned the Man United penalty against West Brom. He's made some shocking decisions this season already. And I tweeted that, or I think I put it on a Facebook chat, that if this decision helps get him demoted, it might just have been worth it, because he is a shocking referee and he should not be allowed to officiate a Premier League football match.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Paul Grant, I'm coming back to you, Joe. Paul Grant, as you said in the chat, Coote was involved in the VAR decision not to send Pickford off as well. Clueless clown needs to be held accountable. Boys, I'm leaving you to it for a minute. I'll be back in a couple of seconds. Carry on, please.
Right, can I quickly grab in after that? Because after
go on, Grant.
Matt Watson said, quite rightly, who jumps with their arms hanging down by the sides? Yeah, that's not the natural thing, is it?
No, it's not.
But you need to do that to get the leverage to pull yourself up.
Yeah.
It's not. I thought it was as well. It was that game was whoever screamed loudest after a challenge, because the West Ham players were screaming they were like children. Honestly, you've gone out and just pinched them on their side, and they would have acted like they'd been shot. But I just want to cover off the Benteke goal, the header, fantastic header, thrives on stuff like that. We know that.
Yeah.
Used to fly him. The chances are he's going to score 1 out of 5. Because that's what I think his goal ratio is. His ratio is at the moment. But he put us 1-0 up. Great header, deserved it. Played him off the park. The move through the midfield, where he was literally a couple to smash it right into the top of the net for 2-0. And instead of doing that, they try to say it was behind him. Nick, turn your microphone off. They try to turn around and say it was behind him. I've looked at it 4 or 5 times. It weren't behind him. Could have put his laces through that, but he's tried to backheel it and put it in the far corner to make it
clever, didn't he?
To make it the goal of the season. That's exactly what the the commentator said. But if he'd have done that, I'm sure that even that would have put a different perspective on the second half. But I just thought that our forward passing, instead of PVA picking the ball up and having that negative, or if I've got to play it through 2 players, I'd rather not, and I'll pass it backwards. It was gone. All that forward passing, crisp, one touch, triangles, and I was like, what? This is the stuff that you see at training, and we're doing it. We're doing it during a game. I honestly, I know you guys have physically been to more games than me over the years, but for me, that's the best first half I've seen at Palace. It would be in the top 3 ever for me. 41st.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was a very good half of football. I thought we played very, very well. The thing about the triangles between Benteke, Wilf and Eze, Alex Scott talked about that on Match of the Day 2, the previous Sunday, when she did some analysis after the Spurs game. And that was really interesting, actually, because the 3 of them played really well together. And that's why wanting to leave Benteke on. No one has actually said anywhere that having seen Benteke on a yellow, knowing what the referee was like, 70 minutes in, he does it again and gets sent off. Should Roy have looked at that and said, I've got Batshuayi and I've got Ayew on the bench. Shall I pull him off because he's on a yellow and this ref's a twat? Don't know. It's a thought. Maybe that should have happened.
Hindsight. So, but I still think that that Batshuayi should be on over Ayew for me.
Well, I would have liked to have seen Batshuayi start against the Scousers yesterday when we lost by a margin.
Same team.
Just coming back to the second challenge, the second opportunity for Benteke to score against West Ham when he backheeled it. Didn't Eze? Eze was on the edge of the box, wasn't he? He could have looked, because he had his back to goal, and he could have just passed the ball back to him and he would have scored. He would have had out and goal. I think that was touched on somewhere, but it would have been a brilliant goal if he'd done that. And as for Townsend's run to set it up, well, it was fantastic. I thought he played very well, Townsend, against West Ham, and a bit surprised to see him miss out yesterday. To be fair, I thought he was a bit unlucky, and I sort of hope he gets back in the team for Boxing Day.
Grant?
What question do you want to answer? I mean, yeah, that one when he back-heeled, when he tried to do his worldie, yeah. I think was it Eze just behind him, literally on the edge of the box.
Yeah. If he'd have dummied, like there was the dummy for his goal, Batshuayi's dummy for his goal. If he'd have done that, Eze would have had a tap in from on the edge of the 6-yard box. You're right, yeah.
He would have done.
But again, he never got caught.
It's gone.
So, would you bring Townsend back for the Villa game? Either of you?
I mean, I saw. I'll go with what Jill said about the West Ham match. We played some bloody good football there. Yes, you can, but who do you drop? Is always my argument to that.
Well, I don't think you can drop Schluppy because I think he's played very well. I mean, he was the one player yesterday against the Scousers that actually played quite well, I thought, throughout the 90 minutes. Someone just said, should Ayew start? I don't think Ayew should start. I think Ayew is down the pecking order for me. I just don't get that, really, Ayew being selected at the moment. He scored 1 goal this season, I think, hasn't he?
I think that was highlighted when Ayew didn't get his foot to a ball. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Wilf put it across the box, didn't he, on about 12 minutes.
But whereas, to me, a natural goal striker like Batman, he would have at least thrown his foot in there. Gazza back in the World Cup, he would have put his foot in there somewhere.
Yeah,
that was too easy for their defender just to tip it across. And Jordan, bless him, I love him as a player, but
and he also messed up the big chance. I mean, they showed on the highlights so much today. They showed 2 or 3 Palace chances when it was 1-0, and the third one was when the ball was played down the right, and he got in behind the Scousers' defence, didn't he? And he pulled it back, but he pulled it back too far.
Yeah,
and he could have put it on a plate for Wilf. It was, or he could have shot himself even.
Did he get back?
Frustrating.
Or had Wilf gone too far forwards? Because no way was he going to get a square ball to bring the ball back.
But that goes in at 1-1. Is it a different game? Probably we still would have lost, but we might not have lost by so many. I mean, they were relentless, weren't they, yesterday? I mean, I thought the third goal was the pick of the bunch. I mean, that was an amazing goal. It was at 44 minutes. It's 2-0. We're almost in the corner. We're on the far side of the pitch in the final third for us. And they win the ball back. And Firmino, what a ball. Just amazing. And it was a great goal, no doubt about that. They'll be in goal of the month contender. And then you think they're going to ease off a little bit. And then they bloody bring Salah on. Jeez.
Yeah, but he scores the goal of the game, doesn't he?
He does at the end. Yeah, but by then it sort of doesn't matter.
I know we're done for, but if this is the quality that they've got now their squads, their rotation that they can use, is that last season that Minamino couldn't get on the pitch, and in this season he's playing more of a. Well, it's just all it is. They can rotate Minamino with Firmino. And they all score goals. They're all world class. They're all world class players. I mean, they were playing almost like a front 5 against us. When they break, that's the thing about them, is that when they break en masse. They do what I wish we would do, and I don't want Wilf back in our penalty area defending corners. I want Wilf playing like we used to play when we were kids. You just go and stand on the halfway line, and when I get the ball, I'm going to hoof it, and you're going to beat that fat centre back. Because he will, with a straight race, he'll beat most centre backs. I honestly don't understand how that's a problem, because what they'll do is at a corner, if the other team get a corner, they'll bring 2 players back to Mark Wilf. So it's 2.
The boys in red, I think they played. I think they played better than they played all season as well, didn't they? I mean, they had a few bad results before they played us, but they really turned it on, didn't they?
Everyone has bad results till they play us. We turn everyone's season around. Sheffield United coming up.
Yeah, what's that all about? It's all over Twitter saying that Sheffield United are going to get their first win on the 2nd of January. I don't hold with that at all. We owe them for last season, Nick, don't we? You wanted to beat Sheffield United, don't you?
Yeah, I want us to beat
Sheffield
United,
then?
but I'm glad it's not away, because I'd get chilly, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But that was a game and a half, that Sheffield United away game, because Nick loses his coat, we leave it on the train, and he blames me.
No, there's no we. There's no we.
No, it's not my fault. I picked your coat up, I put it on the overhead thing because it was in the way, and you forgot it. You left it on the train.
So you hid it from him in a cupboard above his head.
And then Grant loses his wallet. Tell him about the wallet, Grant. You got the wallet
But
back, didn't you?
it wouldn't matter. Anyone finding Grant's wallet wouldn't be able to pick it up.
It was heavy, I tell you.
They're back, couldn't they? Fucking hell. Must be from London, the geezer who lost his.
Right, back to the
No,
football.
can I? Yeah, wallet. So my wallet goes missing. I find this out in about the 7th minute of the first half. I spend the first half ringing up and cancelling all my cards, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, a local guy had found it and he bent over backwards and couriered back to me and wouldn't take a penny from me either. And I was absolutely gutted when we found out I couldn't go Sheffield United away this season because I wanted to go and see him and shake his hand and everything. But yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
The sad thing is that it looks like Sheffield United are getting relegated, so you won't be able to go next season either.
We'll get him in a couple on Wednesday night, and he's probably moved to London.
Grant, I've got a question for you in the chat. Okay, why is Grant wearing a West Ham scarf? Is the question.
That is not a West Ham badge. Who's asked that? Oh, Tim Richards. Tim, man, come on, mate.
Okay, right. Here's a question. In the chat. What season did that badge get worn by Crystal Palace Football Club? The one that Grant's wearing. One season only. We had that badge.
Not that old, okay?
Ian knows this. Ian knows the answer, which is
I'll tell you why I know the answer. I'm going to share this with the viewers.
Every day's a school day, isn't it?
I've got to share this with the viewers, right? So what happens, right? I'm on a school trip. I'm 11 years old. And my old man, I don't know, he contacted me. He might have rung me or something. And said, "Oh, there's a competition to design a Crystal Palace badge. Do you want to go in for it?" So I said yes, and I think he actually did it. My dad did it, but they put my name on. It's like Rodney Trotter. It's like Rodney Trotter, age 14, isn't it? And I win second prize in the competition to design a badge for Crystal Palace Football Club.
Groovy gang.
And and I still got the prize. It was a book, 1977 season, signed by the squad. Right, there you go.
Some of the answers coming. Jane, I am coming at you in a minute. Okay, some of the answers in there. John Gill saying 72-73 season. Tim Richards is saying 1897.
What else did he say?
Matt Watson.
He got the West Ham badge.
Matt Watson is saying 75, question mark. Lee Lockwood saying 72, 73.
Well, John and Lee, you're spot on, boys. It is 72, 73.
There you go. Right, why we do something different? Jane, I'd like you to set the scene in a minute. Have we finished? Did we finish the West Ham game? Because obviously I had to disappear for a minute. Did we finish the West Ham game, John?
Well, yeah, we were good in the first half, shit in the second.
Did we mention Guaita?
No, we haven't spoken about Guaita.
Man of the match.
What, against West Ham?
I know he was against Spurs, but don't you think he played well against West Ham as well?
Yeah, he played right. Yeah, he did what he had to do. Right. Didn't save their goal, did he? But, you know.
Did he die for it?
These bastards are a bit harsh tonight, mate. Right, okay, so ladies and gentlemen out of Facebook now, what I would like from you, please, okay, because we, as I say, we are doing something different tonight, we're just having a chat. Can you hear me okay, everybody? I hope you can.
No, you need to speak up a bit. Get your microphone back on.
I can't. The headphones aren't working. The headphones aren't working. Right, so listen up. What I would like from you in Red and Blue Land, as long as you can hear me okay, is your favourite Christmas joke. I would like a joke, please, in the chat right now. So if you can give us anything that will make us chuckle, let's face it, after yesterday, we need a bit of a chuckle, especially after the Tier 4 and a certain performance at Sellers Park. We could do with a bit of a chuckle. So I would like to lighten the load a little bit, lighten the mood. Give me a joke. James Saunders, have you got anything on to hand that you might be able to share with the group?
Oh, God.
What, jokes-wise?
Yeah, go on, you do it for me.
Okay, this is topical as it's my anniversary this coming Thursday. Yes, Christmas Eve. This is a bit sort of one romance. So ready for a boom boom. My girlfriend has just dumped me because she thinks I'm obsessed with football. I'm absolutely gutted. We've been together for 3 seasons.
Hey!
So you know, Sam Allardyce has just taken over the new job at West Brom. He was driving up there and he actually got stopped on the motorway. Doing 100 miles an hour, yeah. But he said he would do anything for 3 points. Boom, boom. Shall I stop?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
please do.
I've got a couple coming through in the chat. Okay, I want proper gags, you bunch of T-Rex. Okay, Mickey Philpott saying Benteke is learning Irish dancing so he can jump with his hands at his side. Okay, Simon Philpott saying his idea of a joke is Brighton at the top of the league. Tim Richards is. Lee, I'm being careful what I read there. Tim Richards says he only knows rude jokes. Paul Real Panel saying, one for Nick, how do you get a Pikachu on a bus? Pokemon. That's my favourite so far. Paul, good on you, man. Comedy Gold says, Matt Watson, why did the robin open its legs?
Oh, for a lark.
For a lark.
Only for a lark. Come on, guys. You can do better out there. I want better than that. Better quality. I want some gags. Lighten the mood.
One more.
One more, come.
As I was walking home from work the other week, obviously that's not true because I'm retired, I noticed a Charlton season ticket nailed onto a tree. I looked closely and I thought to myself, I'm having that. Because you can never have enough nails, can you? Boom!
So, Holyoke, you're very quiet, and I think.
No, because I feel like you throw me under the bus. Someone says, "Tell me a joke," and I can't think of any.
I'm amazed. You must have something up your sleeve.
Nah, I'm trying to sort of think.
Mr. Noble, anything from you?
I only know rude jokes. I couldn't possibly tell them on here. Sorry, just would be wrong.
Laurie Scott says London went into Tier 4 quicker than Charlton did.
Very good.
Very good. Mate.
Yeah, I've got a joke for you actually. Then, go on. Do you want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
So, a bloke driving down the road and his car breaks down, and he's in the middle of nowhere. And he looks around. He tinkers under the bonnet. He looks around. He sees a white horse, and he carries on. And he hears this word, carburettor. He thought, that's really strange. So he tinkers around with a carburettor, looks at the horse, starts up the engine, it works. He was so surprised, he gets along to just down the road, there's a pub, half a mile down the road, he goes in, there's no one in there. So he goes in there and he says to the governor, he said, strange thing happened to me half a mile down the road. I broke down, I looked over the fence, all I saw was a white horse. I heard this voice, carburettor. Anyway, it fixed it. Barman said, you're really lucky. He said, there's a black horse in the next field. He don't know the first thing about motors. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that joke.
Okay. Guys, look at the chat. Can I do Lee Lockwood's joke out live? I don't know if I can.
Of course you can. Put a warning up. Right, swearing. Kids, go to bed.
Right, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are under 18, please mute your sound right now because I'm going to read it out. Did you hear about the short-sighted circumciser? He got the sack. These are supposed to be festive gags. I can just imagine some people out there right now pulling crackers just to get out the crappiest thing. Nigel Croucher says, who delivers presents to baby sharks at Christmas? Santa Jaws. So you are. Croucher, you are pulling crackers right now. I know you are. You are pulling crackers right now. So that's where you're getting these gags from, okay? John Lyons said, Hodgson being given a 2-year contract. I think that was the joke.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't serious, people. He wasn't serious.
Talking about Palace. This isn't going very well, really, is it?
Listen, the other thing, of course, is what I said. I've set you 2 things out there in Facebook land. Your decent jokes, please, and topics of conversation. What do you want this motley crew to talk about? I don't care what it is. We don't have to talk about football. Chelsea's intent on doing it. So,
Englishman, Irishman, Scotsman walking into a pub. Those were the days.
Well, Jane,
you just made that up.
You spent 20 minutes, think about
it. Mickey Philpott saying all this is just delaying tactics, avoiding talking about yesterday. Right, who wants to talk about yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right,
I'll tell you what, Nick. I'll tell you what. In the chat earlier, there was quite a lot of, I think, a bit tongue in cheek. We talked about the worldie that West Ham scored. and I said Guita wasn't going to save that, and someone said Hennessy would have done, and then someone said Hennessy would have saved the goals yesterday. I think they're just winding us up. But people have been saying, should we change our goalkeeper who's letting 7? For me, no, absolutely not. But what do others think? It's just a non-starter, isn't it?
Joe, you got a thought?
I'm just trying to think how many more games Perry Suckling had after he let
He
him
didn't.
know.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get rid of this down the road then. Let's get Buckland in, whatever his name is.
Perry Suckling let in 9 at Liverpool, didn't he?
Yes. Yes.
And back in 1989.
Let's be fair.
Okay. Anyway, I've messed it up. Anyway, 1989. We drew our next game 1-1. But did he play in that next game away at Southampton?
I honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't remember. I just remember Perry Suckling.
We signed Nigel Martin, didn't we, soon after? But Guita's not in the same league as that. He's much better. And I think, yesterday was just one of those games. Just let's forget about it and move on.
I don't think he had a chance for not one of those goals. Not one. Definitely.
Well, the only one, the Salah header, where he got a hand to it, maybe. But
it was a point blank. That was going the other way, and it's wrong-footed. For me.
But Luke's saying Luke Cooper in the chat, bring in Butland. I don't think so, Luke. I really don't. He couldn't get in the Stoke team for crying out loud. I mean, he's probably not a bad backup, but I don't think he's a Premier League goalkeeper, to be honest.
I said yesterday, I don't know who I was talking to. I was talking to one of you. I think it was Joe. I might have been mentioning it. I was listening to one of our competitors' broadcast post-game yesterday, okay? And the opening line from on that particular broadcast that I watched, and I'm not going to name them.
I did tell him to not say this, by the way, everyone.
Okay, no, I'm not going to name them. But the criticism was from the guy talking. He said, and Ian Lyons, oddly enough, has just said exactly the same thing in a private chat I've got going with him right now. He said, does he rotate the players? Okay, so Ian's asking the question for the Boxing Day game, and the guy on the competitor's broadcast yesterday was saying the same thing about yesterday's game. Now, hold on a minute. Am I missing something? Because my understanding was that yesterday he brought back the 4 players he'd rotated from the West Ham game. Am I not wrong? Klein, Ayew, who was the others that he rotated? I can't remember who it was. Oh, Benteke was out, obviously, and Joel Ward. So there were changes. So he's rotating, one of which obviously was the Benteke dropping because he was forced to drop. So he had to bring back another striker. But ladies and gentlemen in Facebook land, serious subject. Is he rotating the squad enough? Should he have rotated differently? What would you have done as a lineup for yesterday's game? And would it have made any difference? Because that lot up in the Northwest spanked us. Hands up, they spanked us. Joe.
I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have changed Joel Ward because I actually thought he was our man of the match. If he wasn't, then he was very close to it against West Ham. I wouldn't have changed him. I think it would have done Klein the world of good to sit out for a few games so that he wasn't assured of his place, even though he hasn't done loads wrong. I just think as a right back, I think Joel Ward is more assured than Nathaniel Klein, in my honest opinion. I definitely would have had Batman up front instead of Ayew. I think Ayew, I hate to say it because he did well for us last year, but he just doesn't have that striker's instinct. Like the guys were saying earlier, as the ball come across, you anticipate the ball's beat, the cross has beaten the goalkeeper. It's almost beaten the centre back who's just got a slight touch on it. But if he anticipates with a slide, the touch wasn't enough for it to move it out of his way, he would have scored. But that's not the first time you've seen him do it. He does it all the time. There's an absolute lack of getting to the near post, just flinging yourself. What are you supposed to do? You fling yourself at the ball. Don't matter if you don't get anywhere near it. Every now and then you will get near it, and you'll score more goals. But I definitely would have had Batman, and I definitely would have had Joel Ward. But in all honesty, I don't think that made any difference yesterday. I just think it was one of them. What they had 9? Is it 9 or 10 shots? 7 in.
Eight on target.
8 shots, 7 goals.
There you go.
They had 10 shots, but 8 on target.
I think in terms of rotation, he's got to rotate, hasn't he, now? Because the games come thick and fast. There's literally, we play on Boxing Day, we play again on the 28th, don't we? So there've got to be changes in these next games. I agree with Joe. I think Joe Ward had a great game against West Ham, so I would bring him back for Villa. I would also drop PVA. I think PVA's played too much football. I'll bring Mitchell back at left back. And someone said in the chat, Macca looks knackered. I think he absolutely looks knackered. And I'll bring Joe Riedeveld in from the start. And I'll bring Benteke back in, of course. So they are the changes. I'll make those 4 changes. That's what I would do for the next game.
Just very quickly, I think we should treat Macca like we treated Kabay. I always thought Kabay was a really good 60-minute player. He wasn't a 90-minute player at his age. But, he was combative. He was asked to. I think we need to treat Macca as a 60-minute player, and we'll get the best out of him because he'll run that whole hour. He can't run 90 minutes. He can't the whole of that be box to box 90 minutes. The guy's 32 years old, and I think that's and having Riedeveld in, who just looks at a roll like he looks like a Rolls Royce, Grant.
Just seeing in the chat, Paul Real Penal just mentioned about Tompkins came on yesterday. Could that be with a view just starting him on Boxing Day?
It could be, because it was a strange decision, wasn't it? We were 4-0 down and he brings on the centre-back. I didn't get that really, but he gave him some minutes against the Scousers. And, I think Paul could be right there.
I've got a question for Jane. Jane, we talk about the midfield. Now, I'm worried about Luca. 3 games on the trot now. He's had a yellow card. He's a walking yellow card, if not a red. And Matt Watson in the chat says, we need to rotate the midfield. That's our engine room. Macca is knackered and Luca is still out of sorts. So your thought, what would you do in the midfield, if anything, Jane?
I definitely wouldn't play Luca. I think he's never been the same ever since he came back from the World Cup. And I think there's probably a bit of dissent there around Cahill sometimes being captain. For me, I would like to see Townsend, Riedeveld, and Jimmy Mack and James McCarthy playing in the midfield, because earlier in the season they were doing really, really well as a team. And I just think Kuate, bless him, has been moving back from midfield to defence all the time, and he's just getting really confused now. And I think the last couple of games he's not really settled and has let a few people get past him when perhaps they shouldn't have done, particularly yesterday. I really thought he was quite weak.
Graham Daniels in the chat says, actually agrees with you, Jane. He says, bring James McCarthy in. Jill?
Isn't McCarthy broken?
No, McCarthy.
No, he's on the bench. He was on the bench.
Well, that's good. I'd say the other thing, what I read somewhere on social media, that Tompkins might have got a few minutes just to show that he was on the way back with a view to going to West Brom.
Yeah, I saw it reported as well.
I mean that middle of the midfield now with Macca, Riedeveld. I mean that's pretty decent. And again, I think that we've now got 3 players vying for one slot where we were struggling for a left back. We've now got Schlupp, who can sort of play left back, PVA can sort of play left back, and Sorrett Mitchell, who can play left back but also can play that bombing forward position. And I think the more that he's allowed to go over the halfway line to attack, the more we'll find that he will easily be able to slot into PVA's place when I think he goes, and that will leave us with Schlupp. That will just leave us with 2. That will leave us with a player who's proven in the Premier League, and also with a youngster who's trying to prove himself in the Premier League, who is proving himself to be capable as well. So that will be good to have 2 there. We've also got Nathan, what's his face, who we got from West Brom. He must be. Is he in training yet? Is anyone know? Okay, well that's good. So we will then have 3 right backs. I think Klein will probably see out the end of this season, then we'll let him go. So that will leave Ward. We have to keep Ward because he deserves his testimonial. And I think that leaves Ward and himself at right back. The only thing that we need to do badly is to invest in some centre backs.
Younger centre backs.
Well, we have to, because the three we've got, what are they? 35, 33, 30, and 30. Yeah, 30, 31, 30. They're all old. Sacco doesn't have any pace. Tompkins doesn't have any pace. Dan doesn't have any pace. Cahill doesn't have any pace. So anyone that legs it through the middle of us, we're running after them, and instead of trying to face up to them.
Jane, I want to make sure you're reading the comments about you in the chat. Some lovely words being said about you. And
they go and make Grant a drink.
He's going to make me one this week.
You didn't just do that. Oh, Jane, make sure you read the very positive comments about you in the chat, love. Okay, it's great stuff. So, one last on yesterday, and we're not going to go into detail. What about? There was one challenge, or I don't even know what goal it was, where Patrick Van Aanholt, because Ian's actually reminded me in the chat saying he needs to be dropped. Patrick Van Aanholt, who was playing left back, he was well in the Liverpool half, and I've just ruined it as well. He was well in the Scousers half, okay, probably in line with the front of the centre circle, where the ball came over the top, and he attempted some sort of drop kick, flying kick in midair.
Goal number 5 it was.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. And already, without him doing that stupid thing in midair, whatever he was trying to do, there was already this huge gap behind him that they just needed to plug that gap in on our defence and slaughter us. Well, he did. He attempted that thing in the air. What any of you guys? What was he actually trying to do there?
He was trying to cut the ball out, but he was too far forward, wasn't he? He's out of position. And going back to the West Ham game, the cross came from his side. He got caught ball watching. He should have been out closer to the bloke that was out wide. That's what he's there for. I said it earlier. Time for a change. Let Tyrick Mitchell have a go in the next game.
Anybody else got any other thoughts?
Personally, I think PVA sometimes has a really good game, and then other times he's just absolutely crap.
He's up and down like a tart Snickers.
Yeah, I agree. Consistently inconsistent again, guys. That's Palace all over it, Jill.
He was the only one. I mean, it was someone put on social media last night. Cue the sorry guys, bad game tweet from PVA tomorrow. We'll try harder next time. Whatever. Peace out. Have a peaceful Sunday or whatever. The usual crap that comes from PVA, or the usual tweet, not the usual crap, the usual tweet that comes from PVA after a bad beating on a Saturday. It's like he just reels out the same, and he did. But saying that, he put. I always said to you, Nick, we do this and we stick our heads above the parapet. He stuck his head above the parapet, apologised for the performance, said he would, that the team would try harder, or everyone would try harder. Peace out, have a happy Sunday. But I believe I haven't seen any others. I don't follow loads of Palace players, but I haven't seen any others, and I haven't seen anyone. He got a fair few people saying, try harder, thanks. But at least you've come out. You're the only one that's come out. And then, of course, there's a few Scousers jumps on it and went, well, I thought you had a great game, thanks. And but yeah, it's. I think I personally think footballers should steer away from social media for a couple of days after a bad beat like that. No matter how bad and how good the opposition is, I can't imagine many of the West Brom players after we went up there and tanked them 5-1 that they were on social media the next day, apologising. I don't think any of them did. So, but yeah, I don't. What I don't want to see tomorrow is the Crystal Palace FC Twitter page. See him curling world is in the top corner and stuff at training tomorrow. I fucking don't want to have none of that.
Nick,
I'm having it.
Nick, can I come in? One thing that has been said on Twitter about the defeat to the Scousers on Saturday is that drawing similarities between that and Southampton's defeat at home to Leicester last season when they lost 9-0.
Yeah.
Now, after that game, the Southampton players donated their week's salary to charity. And quite a few people were tweeting that the club ought to say to the players, it's up to you, but you should donate your salary to a charity or Palace for Life or something. It wouldn't do any harm, would it? It's a season of goodwill and all the rest of it. I'd like to see that happen, but whether it will or not remains to be seen. What do others think about that?
Well, Wolf does it already. I imagine Joel Ward does that already. You know, I imagine.
Over and above, I'm talking about. If you played in that game 90 minutes and you let in between 6 and 8 goals and didn't score, you know, you've let the side down, haven't you? You know,
again, I'll go part to the analogy that I did earlier. If I had a bad day at work, would you be wanting me to donate my week's wages?
It's different for you because you earn a few quid and they earn thousands, hundreds of thousands in some cases.
No, I see what you're saying, but then, you know, they buy 100 grand watches and £10 million houses, so it's a living to your means. I mean, they might be skint, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, I want to pick up.
I'm totally taking the piss here. I think you're absolutely right. I think the club should fine them 2 weeks' wages for a shit like that. Seriously.
Can I pick up some of the comments in the chat, like, everybody, in case you hadn't seen them? Real panel saying Jane always talks the most sense on our away trips. Of course he does.
That's because she's sober.
Graham Daniels is saying,
someone's got to drive.
Graham Daniels was saying PVA was shocking. He should have been taken off of Mitchell. I think we all agree with that. Colin Waterman saying we need to get rid of Beckham and Benteke and Wickham and get in some serious strikers. Well, I think you all have been a little bit harsh. If Io's chance of 1-0 down goes in, it could have been a different game. You've got to realise we were outclassed, okay? They were a better team. Stop beating yourselves up over it and move on. Laurie Scott has said if we played some creative midfielders such as Mayer, PVA and Klein could stay back. Klein could then stay back and actually defend. Stephen Isles is saying PVA was poor for the last 2 games. There was one other I wanted to pick up on. I can't see.
Ifs and buts, Nick. You know what I mean? If my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If my auntie had wheels, she'd be a bike. Yeah.
Yes.
Who said that? Who said if my auntie had wheels, she'd be a bike?
I can hear the accent now.
Gino De
Campo, yes.
This morning,
yes.
I haven't watched it, of course. Right, yeah. So Jane, what did you say we got on Boxing Day? You said Aston Villa away, Villa Park.
Villa away, 3 o'clock, BBC.
Right, okay. So Benteke is available for selection. Do you bring it back, Jane Saunders?
Yes, you do. Although I've been a doubter for quite some time, but I think he's actually coming into his own. And I think that's only because he's got the right players around him to give him the balls for his headers that go in every now and again.
We normally bring him on, then we take off the person who can cross the ball. Don't we, Joe?
And again, you know, I've been his biggest critic for the last 3 years. But the way that he's playing at the moment, I think he's been consistently decent. The only thing I hope that doesn't happen now is that he becomes a marked man by the referees for this, you know, for this going up with your arms, because if they
can't be, surely it's ridiculous.
Well, you just never know. You literally never know. I mean, again, they mentioned it on one of the games today about how it wrecked the game and everything, and shouldn't have been bookings. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to the Villa game. I just hope they don't hand us our arse up there. That's what I'm hoping. I really hope they don't.
And keep away from
seen that Mings has picked up the 5th yellow for Villa, so we miss out.
Oh,
that's good news.
That's good news. And don't forget, we've also got Grealish to sort out. Grant, you had your hand up.
Me?
Yeah.
So I'll just pick up on Tekers. Not so much defended him, but I've not spoken negatively about the guy for a long time. I'll get knocked for it. I just say to people, I said, just take your eye off the game for 2-3 minutes and watch his movement. Watch what he's doing. And people who actually do that, they come back to me and say, he's playing good football. He's measured on his goal scoring, quite rightly, because he's been bought as a goal scorer. But so I'll echo what Jane says. I'm really pleased with him right now. It's 2 games, you know. But what happens next, we don't know. I think the sending off came at a really bad time for him because it's going to be a confidence knocker. And we all know the bloke's confidence was shot to pieces. If he comes back in straight away against his old club, you know, who knows what goes on.
Well, if we're looking for confidence against Aston Villa, they've just gone 3-0 up with an 87th minute penalty, El Ghazi penalty. So they're going to be flying. So Palace really need to step up their game from what they did yesterday. Right, so we've got Villa on Boxing Day. So are we going to do a show the following day on the Sunday, which will probably be our last show, I would guess, for the rest of the season? What do you think, guys? Anybody available?
The season.
Huh?
Rest of the season.
No, sorry, rest of the year. I meant sorry.
Yeah, I think so. Are we not going to? Are we going to do a traditional quiz on that day?
Well,
or that?
I'm glad. I don't know whether you've just been teed up for that question. Okay, you must have been teed up with the background for that question, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not in our chats, am I?
Well, you don't bloody read them.
Anyway, go on with it. Go on.
Okay, right, ladies and gentlemen out there in Facebook land, pin your ears back. We have some news for you. You can't go out. You can't go to the pub. You can't go and get pissed. So join us on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, Mr. Lyons, can you just confirm the time? I believe it's 7:30. Okay, on Christmas Eve.
Oh, he's frozen.
There's a Christmas quiz the day before Christmas. Sorry, Nick, you froze, so I cut in. Go on if you're back. He's frozen again.
Yes, there's a quiz sometime, and we'll let you know.
Sometime in the future.
I've got it. It's that time, okay?
Nick, tell us, mate. What is the time?
I'm not telling you.
Please tell us.
Was it 1900 hours?
1930.
1930. Okay.
Right, so come and join us, okay? Ian's put a lot of work into this. You can't go out. You can't go and get pissed anywhere.
It's 1900 hours. It's in the chat.
Yeah.
It's what?
Between 6 and 8.
1900 hours.
Can I just pass the message on? Sorry, if my assistant's watching this, can I have some more coffee, please? Thank you. She's in the front room watching. I said, but I want more than 2 cups today. I only had 2 cups. I'm out.
Actually, we're going to stay on here until Lisa turns up with that other coffee, okay? Yes, Grant.
Yeah, hello people. A little while ago, you had someone on the show called Kieran Maguire, and there was a book promised, and a competition was promised. So I've still got this bloody book here that has been signed by Mr. Maguire.
Is it The Price of Football?
It's The Price of Football.
Fantastic book, apparently.
Fantastic book. And a question was going to be asked to our thousands of viewers and readers to win this book. Over to you, Nick. That's what you call pushing in front of a bus.
No,
I've got a question.
Go for it,
I've
Nick.
got a question.
go on.
Have you got a question? You've forgotten it.
No, legit, I have. Right, the first 10 people will go into a draw. Right, so I'm making a competition out of a competition. Name all the names of the reindeer. We'll keep it topical. There's 8 reindeer, I think. Name the reindeer. First 10 people to get in the chat goes into the draw for that book.
Come on.
Go.
Go.
Oh, everyone's Googling.
You can't Google it. While we're talking about books, right, can I just do a little shameless plug for Kevin Day's book? Okay?
No.
Kevin Day, he's a Palace fan.
No, stop.
And it's a great read. Who are you? You can't actually go to away games at the moment. So when you read this, it's called 92 Football Clubs and Why You Shouldn't Support Them. And it's a great read because it just reminds you of all the away trips you've done and the reasons why you shouldn't support these clubs and some great memories and some great stories. So I would recommend that book for Christmas. If you haven't got anything from Santa yet, put it on your list.
When I finish writing my book, I expect to show this.
And they do a great podcast together, Kieran and Kevin, called The Price of Football. And again, if you've never listened to that, make sure you have a tune in. It's very entertaining and informative.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we have some. You set the question. You set the 10 challenge, and then they're in there.
Well, I can't see it. I'm on my mobile phone in my back garden.
Oh, Grant, that is what you're cheating, mate. What he said.
So Grant, work out the top 10, and then you can do the draw.
No, you set it. You can work it out, mate.
Okay, I'll have to do it. Well, all right, I'll have to go onto my computer indoors later, but I'll look at the first 10,
Yeah.
and then what we'll do is we will then do a draw, like a tombola thing, you know. We do it live on air.
Drum roll. Should we do it on Christmas Eve?
How much is that book anyway to buy? It's quite dear, isn't it? I think it's trumpy. Of 60 quid.
No.
£412.53. No, it's
Not.
I think.
So,
How much is it?
15 quid.
so
No.
in the chat,
When
someone
it
said
first
that-
came out, the hardback version, that's about 60 quid. I remember it coming out and people panning it because of the price.
I'm looking. But it doesn't matter. This one's going to be free to the lucky winner.
And it's signed as well.
It's signed.
And he's famous. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, well worth a read as well, by the way. Apparently,
Mate Cannon, I think he's got it right.
yeah, and the names of the reindeer are Nick, Ian, Jill, Grant, Ian, Teresa, Graham, and Nigel.
Oh, hang on a second.
Spot on in that order.
Right,
The thing is, people will now look at other people's comments in the chat and they'll just copy their answers.
that's right.
Oh,
First
right.
10. First 10 going to drop. Right. Let's. Oh, you got Lisa. Come and say hello.
Wait, come and say hello.
Not on live.
Come and say hello.
No, I'm not on live.
You're not live.
All right.
Come and say hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Come
Sam.
say
Sam,
hello.
little helper
Oh,
there.
hello.
Hello, Sam's little helper in the background. Happy Christmas, Lisa.
Ah,
Happy Christmas, my love.
and you.
Yeah, you're live. Look, it says live.
Oh no.
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sensible bit for a minute. Lots of people to say thank you to in the background, right the way through the year. Thank you to the questions crew, Nigel Croucher, Adrian, and all the rest of you. Thank you to everybody in the Predictions League. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't had a go at the Predictions League, okay, please do so next year. It is funny watching Nick Philpott go up and then come back down again, okay? It's like Crystal Palace was 10 years ago. So,
Have you actually gone up, Nick?
say again.
Have you actually gone up?
Okay, twice.
So you're second from bottom.
Yes, Jill.
No, I wanted to just go back to last week when the guys were all at the grounds. It must have been like old school Palace, you know, when we were back in the old second division where you had to shout down the end of the main stand to ask someone the time.
The thing is, in those days, we actually huddled together, didn't we? That's what in the middle of the homes on the back, huddled together.
It was a bit mad.
Jill, just so you know, he mentioned there's something called the home day. That's the home end where the home supporters tend to congregate. I've been there
Apparently so.
recently.
Did you see them Brighton? Did you see them Brighton fans today taking off their masks to shout at their players that were losing to 10 men? Oh, it was hilarious. I was gonna tape them, a couple of them.
And they're all sitting in individual seats. Like a Palace, they put people together if they bubbled. So the 3 or 4's together. But Brighton, they're all in individual seats, which made me smile.
Right, okay. So listen, in the background, love to Lucy. Thanks to Ian Lyons. John Lyons, I know you're watching out there. Graham Kitcher, all you guys, I haven't got the list in front of me. You know who you are. Tom Clark Samuel, for your work every single week to do with this show. We thank you. For those of you watching, thank you for joining us this evening on the back of a awful result yesterday. Move on, next game, doesn't matter. We're still going to be fine. Let's be honest here. It could be worse. You could be supporting Arsenal. You could be supporting Brighton. You could be supporting one of the bottom 3. You're not. You're supporting Palace. We're going to be fine. We go for a win. We go for a loss. Then we go for a draw. I think we're due a win in the next game because of what happened yesterday. Don't worry about it. Thank you to everybody.
Nick, what was the score yesterday? Who did you play?
I can't remember. And
Do you want to know why I asked you that?
And all the guys, most importantly, all the guys that have contributed to the show in the presenting of the show, everybody that's come on and done a little bit to the show, they give up their Sunday evenings. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I want to wish you a happy Christmas, and everybody out there watching, I want to wish you, on behalf of everybody at Red and Blue Review, happy Christmas. Please stay safe and please wear that face mask. Good night, everybody, and thank you. Happy Christmas.
Guys.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Green Giant.